And I decided, well, look, if this is a dream, I can walk on the ceiling. So what I did is walk on the ceiling. So I said, yeah, it's a dream. I don't know the relevance of this to the discussion.
Maybe it wasn't a dream. Maybe you were in New York and there's some pretty crazy CCTV footage out there of you.
Yeah.
I wouldn't put it past you, Roger.
We have laws against that in America.
Like, where is that conscious experience happening, if not mine and myself now, and yours and yourself now? Where is this theatre of experience on your view?
Well, we should distinguish consciousness from the self. I mean, in my view, consciousness is the one thing in this universe that actually can't be an illusion, right? I mean, even if we're in the Matrix, if this is just a simulation, if we're confused about everything, if our physics is fake physics because we're not in touch with the base layer of reality, if this is all a dream, if you're the only person who exists and we're all in your dream, no matter how confused you could be about the nature of reality, one thing you can't be confused about is that something seems to be happening. And that seeming is the fact of consciousness. So I'm quite convinced that consciousness as a concept and as a starting point, just epistemologically, to know anything is foundational. But that doesn't answer the question how it relates to the physics of things, right? So I think the jury is still out on just how to solve the so-called mind-body problem. Everyone starts there. If you really try to interrogate this contemplatively, if you learn to meditate or you have some other mode of introspection, you do start as this sense of being a subject in the head that is now trying to figure out what's real about this sense of self. It is that sense that is illusory, and it's that sense to connect with what Roger said about the split brain procedure. It's that sense that I think very clearly can be divided. I think when you cut the corpus callosum, which is the series of white matter tracks that connect the two hemispheres of the brain, that occasionally get severed in a surgery to mitigate grand mal seizures. When you cut all of those fibers, you are certainly dividing the access that each half of the brain has to certain phenomenal states, so the sight, sound, sensations, and also motor control. And you do almost certainly produce two separate fields of experience, which are no longer integrated. And and so as a matter of consciousness, those are now separate, conscious access to contents. But I would say as a matter of a felt sense that there's a subject too, I think the question is probably open whether or not both hemispheres of the brain would form that to precisely the same degree. But they're almost different people in the two hemispheres. I mean, they have different beliefs, they have different desires, they can fight, they can get into a tug of war over objects with the right and left hand. Mm-hmm. One subject was embracing his wife while the other with one hand and trying to strangle her with another. In any case, yeah, I think the sense that there's nothing lost at the level of consciousness, really, if you lose the sense of self, except you lose the sense of self. And that should give you some indication that it is itself an object of consciousness. It is an appearance of some kind. Otherwise, you could never feel that it could change or be lost.
Roger, the consciousness is if we're going to have a self, it seems like it needs to, what the fundamental thing is that makes us selves. You say it's consciousness. Is that right? Do you think the consciousness is more fundamental, let's say, than the things described by physics?
Whatever consciousness is that it's something beyond the sort of current view we have of physics. But it does connect directly with this really ill-understood phenomenon of the collapse of the wave function. So there is something which bridges quantum scale to classical scale. And you wouldn't get a classical world out of quantum mechanics if it weren't for this collapse of the wave function. Some people think of it as a sort of fictional thing which comes about because of some conscious observer looking at the system. I don't believe that at all. I think it's a physical process which goes on quite irrespective of whether there are conscious beings around or not. Nevertheless, I do think that consciousness is somehow exploiting that aspect of physical laws that we don't fully understand yet. And that has to do with the collapse of the wave function, because only there can we see something beyond a computable behavior. And so my argument was that understanding things is not a computation, despite what people who do AI and stuff these days, that there's something other than things you can put on when I say computation, I mean something you could put on a computer. But there is a limit to what can be achieved by such things. And what you can do beyond that is what you use your conscious understanding for. So which tells me that there is something beyond the computable picture that we have of most of physics these days. And we actually harness that for consciousness. Now, to what extent that answers the problem of the self, I think from what you just pointed out to me, and I agree, it has something to do with sewing together on a bead. Each one's a bead, and then you have it all strung together on a string of beads. And is that whole thing an entity in itself, which is the self in a certain sense, rather than the individual beads, which would be your conscious experiences any one moment? Of course, that changes from moment to the next, and people with these conditions of the brain, which are very unpleasant.